Hi, my name is Stephanie Thomas. I'm a fashion marketing instructor, and today I really want to jump right into it, and I want to talk to you about disability. It's what I refer to as the overlooked D in diversity. But as we talk about disability, I want to simply begin with people with disabilities. Often when people talk to me about disability, it's an interesting conversation because I normally hear things like, well, disability is a little bit pitiful, right? I don't know about disability. It's so inspirational. Yeah, when I think of disability, I think of it's kind of scary. I wouldn't want to be one of those people in a wheelchair. I wouldn't want to live with a disability. And then I also hear things like, my gosh, they're incredible. They can do things I can't do. Did you see that Paralympian running? I always find those conversations really interesting. And people always want to know what's in it for me. Why should I care about disability? Well, I'm going to give you the perspective of disability, not only from someone who works as a disability fashion stylist. I am the founder and CEO of Curatable. Curatable actually creates content at the intersection of fashion and disability. And this work is something that I've been involved with one way or another for 28 years. Actually, this month we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So this has become my life's work. Why is this something that we're sharing now? Why is this something that you should listen to? Like many people said when I would meet with them, what's in it for me? Why should I care about disability? Let's get into it. Here is an Ad Age article, November 6, 2019. 3 steps to help improve diversity in advertising and why that's smart. Now, needless to say, this article would probably be a bit tone deaf, especially after all of the forward movement with Black Lives Matter, the conversation around just no longer buying into things that we said were one way, but really looking at things for the way that they are, getting beyond the appearance of justice for all and really having a society that represents the needs of all people, no matter the gender, no matter the ethnicity, no matter, socioeconomic status. These are the conversations that we're having now. But let's jump into this. At the time, the article stated 94% of brands had at least one occurrence of a woman in a primary role, but most instances were stereotypical roles like an empathetic mom or boy crazy girl. 92% of brands had at least one occurrence of a person of color. Now that would be, according to the dictionary, if they were saying a Black person or a person of color, Black would be capitalized, in a primary role, but only 15% were culturally represented by more than their skin color. That's important to note. Of the occurrences of diversity in primary roles across all 250 measured ads, only 3 included an LGBTQIA character. Now, listen to this. Other underrepresented attributes like disability and age seem to have been overlooked completely. Less than 1% of ads represented people with disabilities in both speaking and non-speaking roles. While, according to the Centers for Disease Control, 1 in 4 American adults live with a disability. And though 43% of brands had at least one occurrence of a senior citizen in their ads, less than 30% of those occurrences put the characters in a position of power. I want to read that again. Less than 1% of ads represented people with disabilities in both speaking and non-speaking roles. While according to the Centers for Disease Control, 1 in 4 Americans live with disabilities. This is not diversity or inclusion. According to Vogue Business and many other publications, adaptive fashion, which is clothing made and designed with disability in mind to accommodate things like AFOs on feet or making sure pants are wide enough at the bottom to accommodate braces and different things like that, clothing for seated body types for little people. Vogue Business refers to that as a $400 billion adaptive clothing opportunity. July 28th, 2019. The missing D in diversity is absolutely, without question, disability. But interestingly enough, when it comes to representing people with disabilities, it rarely happens. Okay, so you're watching this. I want you to, in your mind, point out the feature film and television show that included a person with a disability in the role of a person with a disability. All right, let's start. How about The Upside? How about Me Before You? How about Ironside? How about, well, that's Janelle Monáe, so we know, no. Now, I have to warn you before I continue that what you're about to see, you will not be able to unsee. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, which in this case represents the world where diversity does not include disability. Actually, that's backwards. If you take the blue pill, you stay outside of Wonderland. But I'm going to tell you, we're going to take the red pill today. Work with me. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Now, remember, and this is a fact, even though I'm quoting a movie, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Morpheus, The Matrix. People with disabilities. These are some of the things that I hear about people with disabilities. I'm sorry, but we have a specific client. Oh, you're kidding, right? They don't go shopping. They're eternal children. Can you actually make money doing that as a stylist for people with disabilities? That was what that comment is about. And, oh, it's such a niche market. It's too many disabilities. It needs to be smaller in order to go to mass market. It's not desirable. People don't want that. That's what people were saying to me early on, 1992 to like 2003. This is one of my favorite images. We took it before the photo shoot began. I just dressed Margot, the model, and I just thought it's stunning. And more than being stunning, when I look at this image, it reminds me of why we're celebrating 30 years of the Americans with Disabilities Act this month. Ramps into stores makes it possible for Margot to get in and out of locations safely and independently. Wheelchair accessible fitting rooms for stores that are open during a time of COVID-19. If someone is a wheelchair user, they will have access to get into the stores, into the fitting rooms. And at the same time, someone with a seated body type would have that, accessibility. In the midst of legislating accessibility options like that, there's still no clothing designed for sitting. As a matter of fact, today there is more clothing in stores designed for pets than people with disabilities. This is not hyperbole. I am not making this up. And this includes online shopping. But here's why. According to Bob Vatier, president and CEO of the American Pet Products Association, the industry is moving beyond simply the humanization of pets to where they are now widely accepted as part of the pet owner's lifestyle. I created what I refer to as the bridge, my disability fashion styling system. Accessible. Clothing, accessories, footwear should be easy to put on and take off. Just like this Billy's footwear in the image, this young lady on the set for a photo shoot put on and zipped up her shoes alone without her mom for the first time in her life. The white image underneath the top of the shoe is her AFO, which means that that's a foot brace that makes it difficult to wear medium size or even many traditional size wide shoes. So she doesn't have a lot of dexterity in her hand, so it made it really difficult for her to do, but this was the first time she did it alone. My styling system not only says that the clothing should be easy to put on and take off, it says that it should be smart for your health, medically safe, meaning that it's nothing that's going to make you sick. And it should be fashionable, work for your body type, your lifestyle, and loved by the wearer. Today, some of those people that told me that I was out of my mind to think about dressing people with disabilities would be really shocked to know that this is a conversation that we are really starting to have. As a matter of fact, in 2016, I had an opportunity to discuss this in detail in my TEDx talk for the third largest TEDx event in Calgary, TEDx YYC. When we think about disability and dressing with disabilities, think about disabilities and the way that you would want to be treated. What is the advantage of teaching your students that people with disabilities are people, not someone to look away from, not someone to even gawk at, but people? My clients are actors, influencers. They're constantly on red carpets. My clients are on the lots teaching other people about disabilities. My clients are models. My clients are Independent Spirit Award nominated actors. My clients are little people starting their own fashion brands. And here's an example of why I know without a shadow of a doubt that disability being considered with diversity at the beginning of product design is imperative. Fora is a brand that has mastered this. Please watch. Lucy Jones, who is the heart and the brain and the mastermind behind Fora, uses what's known as universal design, a term that is very popular and very common in, of course, architecture and people that are working in that space and in that field. But it's also applicable across the board. When I am teaching about disability, I often reference theory in psychology, sociology, business theories. It's just something that's super universal. And now that it's in pop culture, you see here Wes, the gentleman that was on Queer Eye on Netflix, his entire closet was remade. When I saw this suit, I knew it was Izzy Adaptive. Izzy Camilleri, premier Canadian designer who now designs for people with disabilities exclusively. This closet, for someone that's a design student, this closet was reimagined for someone who sits So it's eye level, it's respectful. The suit designed for someone who's sitting so that the back of the suit fits. The suit jacket hits in a place that is complementary to that seated body type. There are also opportunities of design and innovation with wheelchairs, so on and so forth. I want to tell you about Tommy Adaptive before I conclude. Tommy Adaptive is doing this right. What you see right here has never happened before in the way that they're doing it. Designer brand with clothing for, I would say, standard sized, curvy, and adaptive. It's pretty incredible. It's all in one place. This is the Tommy by Zendaya collection. This young lady happens to be one of my clients, Lolo Spencer. Same clothes with adaptive features. Velcro closings, magnetic clothings on the buttons, so that dressing is done with as much dignity and independence as possible. Same collection, not adaptive, adaptive, magnetic closings, made for sitting. This was a St. John campaign where they included my client Lolo. And this is what this is all about. When you don't leave out disability. She happens to be an electric wheelchair user. She has challenges with her dexterity, but right here you see it. She's able to put this on. I wasn't there to assist her with dressing. I didn't need to be, because St. John's Knits made sure that she had a dress with no fasteners. It's the same dress that Lupita is wearing. It's the same dress that other models are wearing. This is the future. And with the time of COVID-19, this is an opportunity with all of the industries basically in limbo in a lot of ways. This is the time to put fashion for people with disabilities in the mixing bowl, to make it a part of the conversation that we have at the beginning of the conversation and not a part of the conversation at the end. I know this ran just a little bit long, but I really wanted to take time to show you some of my work, to show you that as a person who uses disability as a tool to destroy negative perceptions of people with disabilities, and as a person with a disability myself, living as a congenital amputee, missing digits on my right hand and feet. This is not just my work. It's my lived experience. And over 18 years, with every class that I've had, I've been able to introduce my students to disabilities. And doing that has made them more marketable. I receive emails all the time from my students saying, "Oh my gosh, Miss Thomas, I gotta tell you, you are right." Some of them are not working in fashion at all. They're working in communication, they're working in PR, they're working in, other businesses, but having an understanding of who clients with disabilities are, what we represent, that we're not a monolith, has been so helpful for my students. Just as I hope today's presentation has been helpful for you.